let's talk about male suicide. And the numbers are high. Like I was doing some research, and there was just so much information on this. It was almost scary.
Yeah.
Uh, why is male suicide so high?
That's a great question. So the first thing that comes to mind is that there's never one cause to suicide, and that there's the NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, publishes some good guidelines for you if anybody's interested. And there's kind of two categories of things. There's risk factors and protective factors.
Mhm.
So protective factors would be things like you have a good friend network, you exercise, you have a family history of communication. There's dialogue. Risk factors are were you recently laid off or divorced? Was there a history of suicide in your family, or have you been depressed, excessive, things like that. With men, we're a different animal, as you know. I mean, um, I often think about making a T-shirt that says "Men suck at communication" or sharing their feelings, because we do. I mean, we're just not brought up that way in many times. And like you said, the statistics are staggering. Men complete suicide at a rate that's 4 times that of women, with the highest rate being in middle age and in elderly people. So between like 40 and 55, and then again at 70, 75, it picks up again. It's like a roller coaster where this is also a big jump in your 20s.
Mhm.
Women attempt more often. And I don't know if attempt is the right word, but
Mhm.
um, it's less often that they complete. And having two daughters, one who attempted suicide and is now well,
Mhm.
I have exposure to kind of a little bit of what, from the outside, of what women go through. But um, with guys, I think there's a lot of factors. We uh, we don't identify our feelings very well. Um, we don't When we do have them, I think we mask them with either addictions or sex or violence. And it's so much easier to fight or to punch something or drink,
Mhm.
um, and to externalize all that angst that we've got going on,
Mhm.
um, than it is to sit quietly with your dude and be like, I don't know what to do. I
Mhm.
really don't know what to do. That is so hard to do, but it's the higher ground to take than it is to do it some other way. So I think that my personal opinion, I think that guys are very much I don't know, I think of this like we're scared puppies or something like that, that were abused,
Mhm.
and that or a kitten, like you just lash out rather than sitting quietly with these difficult feelings.
Mhm.
And we internalize them because there's so much cultural pressure on us to be the provider, the creator of safety, which I think we love. I do think that there's a pride and a power and strength in that type of role,
Mhm.
but it comes at the price of, it's very hard to be vulnerable then. And like we say in VM, one of the ultimate forms of strength is being vulnerable, is
Mhm.
because um, you have to choose to be willing to accept that somebody may not like what you have to say. And you have to have the supports behind you so that when you do say it or feel that way or be who you are, that there's people behind you. Um, and because of so much of where men end up in their middle years, we don't have those tools. The
Mhm.
tools that we've had have not been healthy, and so when those tools become less effective, I think, um, as they say, you lose the fight to depression. The fight with depression is that it's not you. You don't. I would argue that many people who have completed suicide don't want to die, is that they just want the pain to go away. They want to
Mhm.
break, and that's what their choice is. So it's a sad reality that men die at such a high rate. And um, yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I think it's kind of a silent epidemic, like you said. The data is out there, but
Mhm.
it's not talked about as often.
Yeah, it is a silent epidemic. I attempted suicide at like 21. Like,
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I wrote about it like in my first or second book, one of them. But anyway, I
Mm.
was at during that time. And I'm at 21, maybe 20. And I was just at a place where I was tired of just living because I was thinking, okay, so this is all I do is work, have sex, and party.
Yeah.
And I'm like this at like 19, 20.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, there has to be more. And I think I didn't know how to express myself at that time.
Mm.
I remember talking to my therapist one time, and she said women internalize their pain, and men we put our pain on other people. Like you
Mm.
said, it's the physical piece. That's why men are so abusive or destructive, because
Yeah.
we don't know how to internalize what we're feeling. So instead of us processing, we just take it out on other people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um I think there's a lot of truth to that, that men externalize what they're going through, because it's simpler, I think, to
Mm-hmm.
just, it's a very instinctive, visceral, animalistic type of response to punch something or
Yeah.
break something, or frankly to hurt somebody. Maybe, it's probably easier to do that than it is to look inside.
Yeah, it is. Because for you to take some time to say, I'm vulnerable or I'm scared, that takes a lot of courage. And like I said, it's easier to just throw a glass or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mental health and self-care seems to be a big buzzword today. We talk about this a
Mhm.
lot. I hear this on social media, on TV, self-care, mental health, which is great, right? But what does Jeff do for self-care? And can you give some self-care tips for men?
Um, yeah. So what? Um, my self care has evolved over the last few years.